Well, welcome back to another Steve Hall DVD on painting and pastel. Today I've got a photograph of Packhorse Bridge in Bradford on Avon, really on my home territory. This bridge is a stone bridge, hundreds of years old, and was of course the original crossing over the River Avon in Bradford. There's at least 4 other crossings now, and this one's still in use as a footbridge. And I've painted this a number of times in watercolour. It's a bit of a challenge because it can look a little bit like a string of washing strung across the middle of the paper. So I've elected to paint this from a photograph on the east side with the bridge actually backlit and the light source behind the bridge, and I think this will work okay. We've got quite a mass of reeds and foreground shrubs and stuff like here. It's a bit in your face, but I think it'll work because I think it'll introduce the bridge behind it, and we have something of a Z composition, which should be okay. So we can ride up the foreground, cross the bridge and away into the background. This is a mass of trees here, but I'm actually going to introduce a little bit of sky in there just to break up the monotony. So I'll cut and carve a little bit, a bit different to the photograph. I'll probably put some reflections in. Today, when this, or rather the day when this photograph was taken, there was movement on the water, so the reflections are hardly visible. But I'll probably make use of those. I think it'll make for a better image. So we'll crack on and see how we get on with this. I'm going to start as usual by just using various darks just to block in the shape of what I've got in front of me, so nothing very specific at this moment. There is on the bridge a few flashes of light, some buttresses here which the sunlight catches, which is quite nice. I should imagine this photograph was taken at the latter part of the day, maybe midday. If you go down here you'll find that in the early morning the sun is on this side, but it quickly goes around to the opposite side, and this side goes in shadow quite quickly. And in fact I did go down earlier this week with a camera, but being a bit lazy and getting up late, by the time I got there I'd missed the sunshine and the bridge was in shadow. So that's how I'm going to paint it. It was my birthday recently, and I'm not telling you how old I am, but my wife bought me some Terry Ludwig pastels from America, and so I'm just trying out some of those. She bought me a range of purple ones, so they'll be included in this DVD. So that's the bridge, and then we've got this massive foliage here, a lot of it quite light. And then at the back we've got these trees which are quite dark in places. In fact, what I'll do later, I will actually put a spit of light along the top of the bridge. I know it doesn't, well it does exist actually there, but I'll use that to help just throw up the general shapes. And as always, I'm just sort of finding my way with the picture at this stage. I always liken this to doing a crossword where you get a few of the answers and then they lead to helping you get some of the other answers, and then gradually you build up and you do the crossword. I think a painting's a bit like that. Sometimes you work your way into it. There's a building over here which is part of the rowing club, and on many occasions I've been down here and they've actually been out on the water, but not on this occasion. I'll just pick up a little bit of the reflected shape down here. When I drew this, I thought the bridge looked a little bit lost in the picture, but by putting the reflection in, it does sort of expand the shape of it to some extent, which I think helps. So those are a few browns and purples. I've got now a maroony colour, dark blue, and a dark green. And as always, working from dark to light, from fairly soft strokes to heavier ones later in the picture. I don't want to make too much of that building. It's there and it's quite nice because it just adds to the architecture a little bit, but I don't want to detract from the bridge too much with it. Just out of interest, on this paper, it's very versatile. You can do an underpainting on it if you want to. Not that I particularly do, but you can, if you make mistakes, you can actually rub out. I mean, I've got a brush here where you can actually just take some of the pastel off like that if you make a mistake. But also, if I take a tissue and just dampen it, you will see that you can actually wipe marks right off of the paper, which is quite nice, particularly if, like me, you make a few errors when you're doing the drawing. Out of drawing, you can pastel straight over the top of that again, so it's very good actually. So to continue, just blocking in some of these colours. When you get darks like this, it is important to use different colours. If you made that all one colour, it just wouldn't work. The whole thing would be right in your face and would just be overpowering. So this is one of the reasons why I'm introducing reds, purples, even a bit of green in places on the front of this bridge. The key thing is it's a dark tone, but the fact that it's different colours doesn't matter very much, and that helps to give it some interest to the fabric of the bridge. You can see, you've got these changes of colour, and that will work well later. Okay, I don't want to get sucked into that too much, so I'll move away and just have a look at some of the other peripheral things. This is just to get an early feeling for some of the darks in this foliage down the front, and I don't want to be too detailed with this. The mistake would be to try and paint every blade of grass. So I'll pay a bit of attention to these trees now and see if we can spark these up a little bit and get a little bit of lighter green in here. I did say that I would have some sunlight. Sunlight. I would have some sky in this picture, although it doesn't actually exist on the photograph. But the idea of this stage is you just get a general feeling of where things go in the relationship of things. And I'll add a few of the provisional lights through here, because you can see through the underside of the bridge and into the some of the greenery and the things going on over here. That's a little bit bright, but we can change that later. It's more of a buff colour actually under there. Let's see let's try this one. The light through here and here is actually very bright. It's quite a strong buff colour, and I know I say I work from dark to light, but it's not a bad idea, the early stage of a painting, just to put one or two lights in, because that helps you to judge all the intermediate tones on your painting. So that's what I'm doing here actually. And then we've got light on this buttress and light on this buttress. Very strong light. That's okay. And a similar sort of light on the side of this rowing club building. Perhaps a little bit darker. Let's have a look. Okay, and the roof is a little bit of a plummy colour, sort of pale purple. If we've got something suitable, I think this probably will do the trick. Yeah. Lots of greens in here of different hues, and what I don't want to do is to get too gaudy. Bring that down there. I'm not adverse to using a ruler or a straight edge on occasions, and for instance, I want to get a nice line across the top there, so I'll just put a ruler up there, and in fact I'll bring that right across. The bridge is not flat on the top; it's got a curve on it. That just helps me get a bit of structure to the bridge. And some people view that as cheating, but I don't. Painting is a means to ends, and whatever you need to get the end result is quite acceptable in my book. And in fact, I have a variety of things that I'll use. I think really what I want to do now is try and get this section finished up here if I can do, because I can then sort of work back to front, top to bottom. I think there's a bit of logic in that. Let's just move this photograph over a bit and move this clipper back a little bit. These trees are very dark in here. This comes right down across the bridge, and we can rub this in. That's just a little bit of foliage that's caught the sunlight in there. And then we've got this sky, which, as I say, doesn't actually exist in the photograph, but I thought it would enhance what we were doing. And then possibly back in here you will get the odd sky hoe where there are holes in the tree and the sky shows through, and it's amazing. There are only little marks, but make the whole thing look a lot more credible when you do that. And then finally I just want to just green this up, just lighten this up a little bit. I got a little bit carried away with the darks there. Doesn't matter. So that's that, and then I come back over this side and just really start to work the same thing. So we've got a wedge of tree in there, and that's catching the sunlight as well. Quite bright actually. These little crests of the trees just catch the sunlight like that. This line here is a bit in your face actually. It's too much, so I need to reduce it. Stop a moment now and just stand back. Reasonably happy with the background. I don't want too much detail in these trees, but it needs to be enough to sort of say, you know, big bank of trees. And likewise here, I just noticed there on that building, for instance, there would be a shadow under this roof, just in there somewhere. Something like that, cast, you know, by the sun. And so those little details, when you stand back, you pick those up, and you see little bits where you just sort of change an angle or do something. There we go. And I will put a few sky hose over here. I put some over that side, so I don't want to cheat this side, I can have some as well. Not too many. Thing is with these sky hose that they can become a little bit habitual when you start to enjoy doing them, and you do a lot more. Anyhow, there we are, that's fine, I'm happy with that. I've got the background done, I've got most of the darts on the bridge, and now what I'm going to do is just try and work up the shape of the bridge and the water below it as, if you like, the second part of the picture, and then come on down and see what we can do with these rushes. You can see the state of my hands. I'll wash these at this occasion as well. They'll soon get dirty again, but it just gives me a little bit of a breather from where I am. I want to carry on with the bridge now and try and firm up some of the shapes that we've got here. So back on a fairly dark pastel, and just get a few edges here now. So I've taken a mid, I think that'll do, yeah, this is a mid sort of purple, and I just want to get these marks in here to just indicate a little bit of the architecture on the bridge. Not to be particularly exact, but it's just enough to make the bridge look a bit solid, for want of a better term. Sun's catching this, so it's lighter. Oops, a broken pastel there. That's okay. Just a hint of something there. So it is important to keep standing back and looking at the bits of detail. There's a feeling of something in there like that, and the same here. That's that. Now we don't want to do much more to this bridge, I don't think. I'm going to work a bit more on the reflection. So we've got sort of the reflection of the bridge coming in there now. Right, I'm going to put some movement in the water here. So I'm going to take not a white, but a grey, and I'm just going to pull this across the water. I'll make it nice and dark under here. Just a feeling of a little something going on there. That's okay, and I just wonder whether I might go a little careful, because you start. One of the problems with painting is you start to enjoy yourself. You make a mark, you think, oh, that's nice, I like that. I'll make another of those. But I was just wondering whether I could just have a little bit of something going up there, just to break up that corner a bit. I mean, the thing is, this is a summer picture, so you're not going to see much in the way of branches, but that just creates a little interest in it, because it's a fairly basic shape, so sometimes a little something like that just creates a bit of interest, and maybe against the side of the trees, some of these might be a bit lighter colour. There we go, that'll do. I'm going to have to bite the bullet now and do this lot. And it's got to be fairly broad. If I start to get bogged down with every blade of grass, I'm going to ruin this picture. So I've got to try and keep it fairly simple. So deep breath, and off we go really. I've got some browns, some yellows, some buff colours. Just the colours I can see there really. I've got a bit of pink actually. See how we get on. that's working okay. I'm going to keep that fairly simple down there. The temptation to do a lot to it is tremendous. This mark, I'm just running down the side of the pastel to get this sort of dagger shape. You can go a bit higher if I wanted to. By using the side of the pastel, you get this lovely dagger shape, which gives the impression of foliage. And then we've got some lighter ones that come up in here. Just varying the angle slightly. Maybe perhaps bring in something a bit darker like that. And you know, I'm going to leave that there. I know it might look unfinished, but it's not. You need a quiet space on a picture, somewhere to sign your name. That when you do things like these bridges, there's a tendency to think that all the arches are the same, but of course they're not. I mean, if you look at them, when you view them from different angles, they take on a different format. And they look differently from different angles, so you have to be a bit wary of that. That has actually got a darker tone on it there. What colour is that? Yep. That's a dark grey. Just down here is a darker grey. It's just the way the light catches it. There we are. That's more accurate. So let's stand back and have a look, and I think we'll call that a finish. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. You can view my work here in Bradford on Avon. I have a town centre gallery, which is station approach, right in the centre of the town as you go down to the station. And come the middle of April, when we come out of lockdown, we'll be open, and you can come down. You can see my work. We also carry the work of about 20 other different British and overseas artists, and so there's something for everyone there. And I've got a few pictures of Bradford on Avon there, but do come along and have a look at what we do, and hope you've enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching.